Maybe we wait a few more minutes. That's my idea. Let's say 2 more minutes, that we start at 10 to 12. And then we will just start. And then maybe when students are joining in, maybe you can keep an eye on that, Casper and Katarina. So then we can inform them, or maybe if they have questions in the chat, maybe that would be very helpful for me if you could check on the questions in the chat, so we can address those questions.
Yeah.
Junior is here. Welcome, Junior. Welcome in the session about the International Bachelor Physiotherapy. Let's see if there's some more. Still 4 students. 5. We have 5 now, so that's great. 1 more. Let's wait 1 more minute, and then I will start my presentation. And maybe it's also nice, Casper and Katarina, that you will introduce yourself at the start of the session, so everybody knows who you are. Or did you do that already?
Oh no, we didn't do that yet.
Okay.
So
that might
be great.
All right. Okay. Let's wait a few more minutes, and then we will just start.
Yeah.
Okay. Well. Okay. I saw Robin saying hello. Oh no, Junior. Sorry, Junior. You said hello. Maybe you can. Maybe that's good to start off with. Junior, where you are from? Can you put that maybe in the chat to share where you're from, which country? And maybe all the other participants can do that as well, so we have a bit of an idea. Andrea, Gabriel, Greta, and Pamela, can you let us know from which country you are? Antigua and Barbuda. Oh wow, I see, in the Caribbean. Yes. Yes. I don't know, Andrea, you're from Tenerife. All right, welcome very much. We have a representative from Spain as well. Great. And the others, where are you from? And just maybe also good to check whether you're able to, well, use your microphone and pose a question. Could you try that? Andrea Junior, could you check whether you can, well, use your microphone and ask a question? Maybe that's not possible. I'm not sure. Maybe that's only for the moderators. That could be. Hi, Sabrina from Taiwan. Welcome, Sabrina. Yes, only for the moderators. Okay, so we are not able to communicate directly with you. So that means that in case you have a question or, well, things are not clear for the presentation, then you can put the question in the chat, and then Katarina and Casper will keep an eye on it and then will inform me that there is a question. Pamela, very much welcome from Greece, also Greece represented. So we actually have a quite international group of students. So maybe I can first give the word to Casper to introduce yourself briefly.
Okay. Yeah, so my name is Casper. I'm currently a second-year physiotherapy student here at Saxion, and I come from Poland. I think that's a very brief introduction.
Yeah. And Katarina, can you introduce yourself? Katarina has left the meeting.
I will ask her. Maybe there's something wrong with.
Yeah, that could be. Otherwise, what I'll do is I will start the presentation. First, I'll introduce myself. My name is Karin Rensen. I'm a teacher at Saxion. I'm a physiotherapist and teaching mainly in the first year. And I teach all the topics, so meaning the practical classes, working lectures, and I'm also a study coach for the students. I'll tell you a little bit more about that during the meeting. All right. I will share a presentation. So I will share my screen. So, and then we go through that presentation. And if you have a question, please put it in the chat. And Casper and Katarina, you can, let me know. Then I can just stop the presentation and try to address the questions immediately. I think that works better.
Okay.
Right? Okay. Good. One moment. I'll share my screen. Let me see. I see a lot of. One moment. All right. Let me see if it works. Maybe you can let me know.
Mm-hmm.
Can
Yeah.
you see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, welcome to the introduction to the bachelor program Physiotherapy at Saxion. Well, this is the picture you see one of our international students. She's now in her third year. So she started also in the first year and it's also sort of part of with us. So here it's also mentioned, and that's, I think, very important for you, that if you have any questions related to housing or how to apply or finances related to your education, you can join the international office live stream later on, or maybe that was scheduled already before. And so this is really about the content of the program itself. Well, we had already a brief introduction. Me, Casper, and Katarina briefly introduced themselves, and please, send any questions in the chats. Okay, yes, a good question. Why would you study physiotherapy? That's a very broad question, of course, but we think physiotherapy is a great profession. I think what makes me feel like physiotherapy is a great profession is that you are directly working with people and trying to contribute to their quality of life. So we are specialists in the movement system, and that's also what you learn in Saxion, how to support any kind of patient, from very young to older patient, with all kinds of different diagnoses and problems. With our education, you can support those persons to participate in society, but also be able to deal maybe with limitations they have, but also to support and treat the physical problems they are experiencing. And what is, I think, great of the education at Saxion is that from day one on, we will practice that. We will practice how to communicate with a patient or with a client. We will practice how to, do the work a physiotherapist does in daily life. And we'll initially practice that with each other. And I think the hands-on approach, I think that is very helpful, and that also gives a good insight into the profession. So the hands-on practical classes, and we combine that with working lectures and with hearing lectures. And the internships, I think they give a good, experience to be aware of what is the profession of physiotherapy in daily life, and is that, what I want to proceed with. Um, and I think what is, really exciting is that when you join the international program, you will join a group of students from all over the world. And I think that's, for us as teachers, really exciting to teach. And I think for the students, it's really nice because you're in such an international environment that's really motivating. And maybe Casper and Katarina, you can add anything about that? Why would you study physiotherapy? Why did you want to study physiotherapy?
Yeah. So I can start. Well, for me, it was mostly about when I was in high school. I wanted to differentiate between different paths that I want to take, and then I had a few ideas, and each idea was kind of merged with my expectations towards a certain profession that I would like to pursue. And what physiotherapy, why physiotherapy was the most compatible for me specifically was because it's a job where where you connect to someone. That's one thing. Um, the other aspect of it was that you're not tied to a desk for 8 hours a day from Monday to Friday, and that was also very important for me to have that sort of more active
Mhm.
profession. Um, so then I think these were the biggest two reasons why. And then it was very interesting because when I was personally going to physios, what was always uh, impressive was their knowledge, how much they know about the body, how much they know about functioning. And then if I would talk to them, I'll realize, wow, they know so much. I want to be like them one day. So that was kind of the reasoning, and also my background in sports was also probably the big reason for me to choosing this specific study.
All right. Thank you, Casper. Maybe Katarina, can you add anything to that? What was your reason why you wanted to study physiotherapy, and maybe also why at Saxion?
Yes, well, maybe to add on to what Casper already said, I think the background thing is pretty similar. I used to do quite a lot of sports, but I got injured quite often, so I would go to physiotherapists, and I was like amazed at the also their level of knowledge and just like the professionalism that they are exhibiting, and the fact that they can distinguish and they can specifically create a treatment plan for the individual. And it's like very also the connection that you make with the clients, and like every case is different. I think that's what's really engaging, at least for me. And as for Saxion, well, I've had really good reviews from the peers from different years, and they told me that the program is on a high level, as well as just in general the approach of the lectures and the content. It's focused both on orthopedics, internal, and also a lot of hands-on, which um, I find very beneficial, since knowledge is one thing, but kind of knowing how to do it in practice is another. It's a skill, it has to be trained. So it's not only about knowing why you're doing it, but knowing how to do it. And I think that's very beneficial if you want to have a career in physiotherapy, or in any similar field, to know what you're doing. So the skill set is very important.
All right. Thank you very much, Katarina. Let's move on. What to expect? What will you learn? Well, I think a physiotherapist always does screening and diagnosing, meaning if their patient comes in with a complaint, you want to find out, hey, what is the specific problem or what is the specific complaint? Or sometimes we talk about the request for help of the patient. And that is what you will learn at Saxion, how to do an assessment of a patient. And that can be a patient with orthopedic related problems like joints, muscles, those kinds of things, but also related to maybe lung problems like chronic obstructive lung problems, but also cardiac diseases, and also neurological complaints like patients who had a stroke or patients who have multiple sclerosis. So you will actually learn how to assess all these patients. Any kind of patient which is seen by the physiotherapist, that is covered in the education. What is also an important role we have is being a health advocate, meaning trying to prevent patients to become limited or prevent that they have less opportunities due to their illness. So you want to maintain their health condition. That is also an important role. What you will also learn is how to communicate and how to coach a person. And I think that that is also a very big part of our profession. You need to be in contact with the patient throughout the treatment. But that is also, I think, the very interesting part, that you learn to know the person you are going to or you're working with. At Saxion, we also try to, spend time on innovation and technology, trying to, support the role or the work of the physiotherapist with new approaches, new ways of assessing the patient, but also new treatment methods. So I think that is supportive and could be interesting in your education. What is generally used in Saxion is applied. It's a university of applied sciences, and we try to use evidence-based practice, meaning that what we do, there is some evidence base for it, that it is researched, that it is effective. So what we do has proven to be effective. So that I think is also a very good, a pillar of our education. Another important role we have as physiotherapists is to be reflective on your own actions. So whenever you are working as a physiotherapist, you always have to ask yourself, am I doing the right thing? Or, did I forget something? Or did I miss something? And that is what you will learn step by step during the education, to be reflective and to also be critical on your own actions. Okay, what does the education look like? Well, generally the education at Saxion is we have about, what shall I say, 25 to 30 hours of education at school. So there's a lot of in-school activities, and that consists of about 5 practical classes every week. And a practical class lasts for 90 minutes. 1.5 hour. In addition to these practical classes, we also have what we call working classes or working lectures, where you work on specific assignments who are related to the practical classes. And on top of that, we have hearing lectures, meaning there's a teacher who's explaining a specific topic or a specific disease. So the hearing lectures are covering anatomy, psychology, physiology, and what did I miss? Anatomy and biomechanics. So that are the different approaches. And then on top of that, we have what we call home groups. And in the home groups, you will be working on your individual and professional development. So that is also a specific topic we pay a lot of attention to in the Netherlands or at Saxion.
I will just interrupt here. We have a question in the chat from Junior about the visas. That's not directly a question to us, I would say. This is something that the international office handles. So if you would like to know more, you can go to the session with the international office, or just let the international office know by sending an email. That would be a good idea.
Maybe to add on that, generally, if you're accepted at Saxion for joining the physiotherapy course, then the international office will also arrange a student visa for students. So generally, there is no limitation that students can join the program. So that's maybe good for you to know. Okay, next question.
And then I see, maybe that's something more to you, Karen. What are methods of assessment and examination in this program?
All right, that's also a good question. So we have different types of assessments. We have the theory assessments, and those are related to the hearing lectures on anatomy, physiology, psychosocial, and pathology. And those are multiple choice exams. So you are at school and having a theory exam, which is offered in a multiple choice way. We also have performance assessments, so meaning that you have to demonstrate in front of a teacher your capacity or your practical skills, what you have learned so far in school. And then most of the time, a fellow student plays the role of the patient. Next to that, we have, what we call product tests. So that would mean that you have to write a report, or you have to do a presentation, or you have to do a pitch. So that's another way of assessment. So generally, we have 3 ways of assessment: theory, performance assessment, and the product test in a way of a report or a pitch or a presentation. Right? Other questions?
Yes, there's another question from Andrea. If the bachelor degree in physiotherapy is recognized in Spain, because apparently several people told Andrea that it's not validated, so she just wanted to check in.
Yeah, well, the bachelor physiotherapy with a Dutch diploma is valid almost everywhere in the world. The only thing what is needed once you have the bachelor degree, that you need to be certified at the in the country of residence. So we do have students from Spain as well, and with the diploma they need to do an administrative procedure to be able to work in Spain. But that is in most of the countries, so they have to sort of acknowledge your diploma and that you can work with the diploma as a physiotherapist in your country. So also Germany and Switzerland and some other countries have that requirement. It doesn't mean that your diploma is not valid, but you just need to be recognized by the let's say the National Physiotherapy Association. That's most of the time the issue, and that's an administrative procedure. All right. Okay. Other questions? No? Then I'll proceed. Okay, how does the study look like? Well, we have made an overview a little bit of the 4 years that the bachelor lasts. So in the first year, you will be introduced to the screening and diagnosing of the lower extremity, of the upper extremity, of the spine, but also you will be introduced to the assessment and treatment of patients with lung problems, cardiac problems, and a patient with a stroke. So that is mainly the content. In addition to that, you will have different group projects on innovation and also prevention. So you would work with, there's one module which is focusing on low back pain. So with a project, with your project group of students, you will try to develop an innovation for a patient with low back pain. In the last module, you will work on a prevention program for, let's say, athletes or people of your age. So then you will have to work with a group of athletes or other group you can develop a prevention program for. Okay, so that's the first year. What I already mentioned, there are practical classes and hearing lectures, working lectures, and the clinical affiliation in the first year lasts 2 weeks. So that is something you will have to organize yourself. Most of the students go back to their country of residence. If that for some reason is not possible, then you can get support from the Saxion Affiliation Bureau to find a placement in the Netherlands. Okay, in the second year, the topics who are covered in the first year will be also more in-depth and more broadened. So like if you look at neurology, you will not only look at patients who had a stroke, but also, for example, other neurological diseases as MS, Parkinson's, and maybe geriatric related complaints. What is also offered in the second year is projects in the community. So we look at community health, which is also related to prevention. So trying to support the community to have a more healthy life, and for example doing activities in a group or to promote a healthy activity level for the people who are living in that community. Also practical classes here and home groups focusing on your individual and professional development. And there is a clinical affiliation of 4 weeks in the second year. Then we move to the third year, and the third year will have more complex lessons related to, well, what we call a patient maybe who has not only one problem, but who has multiple problems. So then the role of the physiotherapist becomes more complex. You'll also learn how to work with other disciplines, and you'll start working on your graduation project, which you will, well, then implement in the fourth year. So it's a research project you will prepare already in the third year, and then you will execute it in the fourth year. So the third year is split up in two parts. The first half will be at Saxion. The second half, there is a space for the minor, and that's a minor you can choose yourself. So you can choose, okay, to maybe be more more informed about, let's say, pediatric physiotherapy. Then you can follow a minor in another university in the Netherlands. Or if you are interested in manual therapy and sports physiotherapy, you could choose to do a minor at Saxion. So that's a 30 credits program, which you have a bit of freedom where you would like to, do that, and also what the topic could be. And for the minor, you can broaden your view as a physiotherapist and maybe think about, okay, I'm more interested in psychology, or I'm interested in management. So then you could choose a minor in that direction. If you say, okay, I'm more interested in deepening my knowledge about physiotherapy, then there are also different programs you can choose. Okay, and then in the fourth year, it's actually, full-time clinical affiliations. So you have to complete 3 periods of 12 weeks clinical affiliations in 3 different settings. So normally that is, a physiotherapy practice, and we also ask students to organize a clinical affiliation in a setting like a hospital or rehabilitation center, where you will work with more severely affected or complex patients, and also work with other professionals, like in an interdisciplinary setting. And the third clinical affiliation, you can choose yourself what you prefer to do. In the fourth year, the home groups are online, so you will meet twice every 8 weeks with your group, and then you will be able to discuss your experiences in the clinical affiliation and try to maybe address your experiences and find solutions together. And what is also an important part of the fourth year is that you will write your graduation report, and you will have to finally present that and at the end of the fourth year. So that's in a nutshell how the education looks like over the 4 years. Maybe there are questions related to this.
There's a one question which is kind of related. If a person has already done a degree, but in a different program for bachelor's degree, is it in any way affecting their chances of getting into the physiotherapy program?
No, that's not affecting your chances of being accepted as in the physiotherapy program. There is an advantage if you have already completed a bachelor degree, because then it means you have the ability to skip the minor, because we feel then you have already in-depth knowledge about a specific topic. And so you could reduce your study time with 6 months. So then your education would last 3.5 years instead of 4. All right. Good. What are your career opportunities? Well, maybe you already have some thoughts about what you can do as a physiotherapist. And of course, you can work in different kinds of settings, like what I already mentioned, in a rehabilitation center, in a hospital, in a nursing home, in a private practice. You can work with different types of patient groups, like athletes or maybe children or elderly, focusing on maybe neurological problems, or maybe focusing on more orthopedic related problems, or maybe you want to be a general physiotherapist, seeing all these different kinds of patient groups. That's also possible. What is also an option after the bachelor to continue your education with a master's degree. In the Netherlands, you do not have to complete your master's degree. You can work with a bachelor degree physiotherapy. And I think that's in a lot of countries like that. And I think the only exception is the USA. There you need a master's degree to be able to work as a physiotherapist. So, but in all the other countries, you can work with your bachelor degree. With your bachelor degree from Saxion, you can work in any country. So master's program is possible, but it's not a requirement to be able to work as a physiotherapist. Sometimes we also see that, graduated physiotherapists, they do, maybe some, like me, do something in education that is possible, or other side jobs in the medical field. So there are a lot of opportunities actually, even if you do not specifically want to work as a physiotherapist, but in health insurance, in other healthcare jobs, physiotherapists are also working. This was the end of the session. Maybe I can stop sharing, and maybe that's also important to add that we would welcome you to Saxion if you would like to join the program or just participate to be here. I can imagine if you're from the Caribbean, you cannot just say come to the Netherlands and say, okay, I want to come here for a day, but maybe for others who are not so far from the Netherlands, they are welcome to join, so you can experience how it is to be a student physiotherapy, and then you can also have more experience in how these practical classes and working lectures and hearing lectures are organized and how they are offered at Saxion. Okay, for now, I think I will stop sharing and go back to the meeting. And then we can see if there are some other questions related to the presentation. Let me see. There is a question of Junior. Is the student responsible for paying the return to their country for the clinical affiliation? Yes, the student has to pay it. So if for some reason you are not able to pay the fees for your flight, then we can try to organize a clinical affiliation for you in the Netherlands. Of course, there are some students who are far from their home country and that they do not always have the financial resources to travel. So then you can stay in the Netherlands to do that. In the fourth year, if your clinical affiliation lasts for 3 months, then you can apply for a scholarship. And we have partnerships with other universities, so you can apply for Erasmus scholarship, or you can apply for another type of scholarship in which you get some support in your travel expenses. But then that's only possible if your clinical affiliation lasts for 3 months and not shorter ones as we have in the first and the second year. Okay, but even Junior, if you are not flying home to your home country for your clinical affiliation, you can still participate in the program as any other student. So you're not bound to go back to your country if you do not have the financial resources for that. You can do it in the Netherlands. Maybe Casper and Katrina, do you have maybe other information which you felt like, okay, this is something I would have liked to know prior to starting physiotherapy, or what do you think from your perspective is useful for the students to know, what I didn't address yet?
Well, I know last year there was a lot of discussion regarding the materials in the books, but because everyone was very confused about purchasing the books, or if they could borrow them from the library, or if they have to buy them, or if they can use PDFs. Like I think this was pretty unclear, at the moment, but I don't know if this year the students will be receiving more information beforehand.
Well, what we normally say about the buying of the books, you do not necessarily have to buy them prior to coming to Saxion. In the lessons, we always advise the students which books are really crucial, and then it's up to the student to whether you want to buy them yourself, and that can be a physical one or a PDF. And all these books are also available in the library. So there's not like that we are forcing the students to buy these books, but these are relevant. That's our background, and that's our source, what we use during the education. So it is important that you have access to these books, and how you have access to them, that's up to the student. That you can decide for yourself.
All right, thank you.
Okay, there was another question, Junior, about a scholarship program. There is another scholarship program for students who are from outside the EU, so non-EU students. They need to, they can start in the first year. And if they obtain a minimum of, I think it was 54 credits out of the 60 credits, and they have an average of a 7.5, I think, then they can also apply for a scholarship, and then your school fees will be reduced with about 2,000 euros. So that's another scholarship which is available, but only once you have, sort of demonstrated your capacity in the first year. So that's also an option. Andrea, I don't really understand. One moment, I will go back. I don't really understand. One moment. I don't really understand the access requirements. And Andrea, do you mean the requirements to be able to start the physiotherapy course? Because I can be very, very short about it. You need to be able to, have a specific level of English. So that is a requirement. And you need to have completed high school. Secondary education, you need a diploma. And then they will, here at international office, they will check whether that is your diploma and your English is enough to be able to participate in the bachelor program. But it's not that complicated. English is required, and you need to have a high school diploma. And there is, in addition to that, there will be an intake with one of the teachers. So you'll do an online assessment to assess your insights and your motivation. On top of that, there will be an online meeting with the teacher, and then the teacher decides whether they think, based on that conversation, that you are suitable to join the education. So that is also on top of the requirement related to your English level and your high school diploma. There is that additional assessment. I hope I answered your question, Andrea. Let me see if the other questions. One moment, Junior. Andrea, I hope I answered. Do we need to go through an interview before we got enrolled? Yes, you have to. You need to have an interview with one of the teachers. Pamela raised her hand. Can you talk, Pamela? Or I don't really know. Let me see if I can manage that. Pamela, allow broadcast, yeah. Allow video and audio, allow audio. I will allow you to talk, Pamela. So could you check whether you can talk?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good evening. So I would like to ask about the language barrier here because I'm from Greece and there are different kind of levels in English. So which certificate does Saxion require for us to enter? Like, is it the ELTS or a TOEFL or something else?
Do you know, Casper?
Yeah, I can actually send a link to our website, and it's a link with entry requirements, and you can find all the information about the language certifications with the specific scores you need to obtain in order to be enrolled. I will send it into the chat. I hope.
Yeah, that might be nice. Then everybody can access that, Casper.
I can also send some links regarding to the visa procedure or the scholarships as well. I can look for it.
Oh, thanks a lot, Casper.
Okay,
Is
thank
your
you.
question, then you can find it in the additional information, Pamela. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you very much. I
All
appreciate
right.
it.
All right. There are some more questions. Let me see. Do we need to go through an interview? I answered that. Are there sports facilities in Enschede? Yes, there are, but well, not at the university, but at the local sports associations. There you can join. You want to say something about that, Casper? I see you laughing.
Yeah, because I think it's a complicated situation for Saxion students.
Yes, I was about to say the
Yeah,
same.
because of course it depends what kind of sports you want to do. Because if you just want to go to the gym, then you have a bunch of them in the city. That's not an issue. However, I we have the student sports center at the University of Twente campus, uh, and for us as Saxion students, the membership are quite expensive because you have to pay for the access, you have to pay for the association fees if you want to play a specific sport. So it depends on your individual needs, and if you want to just go to the gym or if you want to do additional sports. Yeah, well, I know that Saxion is trying to do something about it, so we could potentially pay less, but I know it's a disadvantage for a lot of students. They don't want to specifically pay because those memberships go up to 300, 400 euros per year at the moment for some associations, so it's quite expensive. Yeah, so it depends. Hopefully something will be managed about it.
We've discussed it at the student council a few weeks ago, and apparently it's in the process that there will be some sort of a discount for the sports club or membership card. But still, I think we're just starting off to kind of manage it, not necessarily that it's gonna be next year. We cannot reassure that, but we are trying to figure something out at the moment.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you. Let me see. There was another question. Do you suggest doing it alone or having, let's say, a student affairs individual help with my application? Well, I don't know, Casper. Can you say something about that?
I'm not quite sure if I understand it correctly, but if it goes to your application and the process of your application, you just do it alone. Uh, because yeah, you have to complete your documents, you have to send it to us. Then people from the student registration team, they review your documents if you're eligible for the program. Then you get a confirmation that you might start your assessment, and when you finish your assessment and it's a positive note, then you will get an invitation to the individual meeting with the teacher. But that you assess alone. When it comes to all the other things, well, like visa procedure, um, housing, if that's more of what you mean, then international office mostly handles those things. I work for the international office, so if you have any more specific questions, it's always good to ask us, and somebody can also handle it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Casper. There was one more question I saw. Will we know when the interview is? Yeah, the interview will be scheduled. You can even schedule it yourself after your application has been approved, so that you meet all the requirements for starting the physiotherapy program. So once that process is done, then you will have the opportunity to schedule your own meeting or interview with a teacher. There's one more question by Pamela. Can you talk? Yeah.
Sorry. So I would like to ask if there is any possibility of a step-up program or something.
Sorry,
Like
can you repeat your question? I don't really hear it very well.
Yes, sorry. Can someone like have a step-up education, like if someone has a degree in nursing or in medicine or something, can he like skip a year or something like that?
Yeah, like what I already mentioned, if you have already a degree, then you can skip the minor, so that's a half a year. And sometimes, depending on the type of bachelor program you have already completed, if there are a lot of overlap with the physiotherapy program, then you can request for exemptions.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, all right. All right. I think transport from the airport to Saxion, what are the options? I would say train. Train is the best option.
And if I
Juno.
may add, there's also a possibility for the first year students to apply for the bus pickup. And I know that it's free, but I think the only way of getting on the bus is if you're arriving at the Amsterdam airport, not Eindhoven. If you're arriving in Eindhoven, then you have to go by the train. But if you're coming to Amsterdam airport, there is this option you can apply for the pickup, and then they're just gonna take your luggage and drop you off um right at your housing. But you also have to have the Saxion housing, not your individual one. So.
Mhm. All right. I have a class at 12:30, so I have to round off the meeting. Well, I hope all the participants, in case you have additional questions, I will leave my email address. So you could email me, but I think the links Casper has included in the chat are also beneficial. And for the more practicalities, you can contact International Office. For any questions related to the program and the content of the program, you can contact me. All right, I think, yes, okay, understood. Well, thank you for participating and, well, showing your interest in the physiotherapy program of Saxion. We might meet maybe in the spring of next year for the individual meeting with a teacher. And maybe we'll meet in September 2026 when you maybe have joined the program. Well, success with all your preparations or, well, making your choices. And I hope this meeting was, well, helping and to make these choices. Wish you a wonderful day and, well, maybe we'll meet again. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Casper and Katarina, thank you very much for helping me.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
for
thank you for asking us to help you. That was nice.
Yeah, all right. I'm sorry, but I really have to go because I have a class. Otherwise, they will be waiting for me.
All
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. How do I leave?
Yeah, I have the same question.
Yeah, there's a stop session button under in the blue area.
Ah, okay, I see. Okay, bye bye.
Bye-bye.